Hello and welcome. Joining us today is Saurabh Mukherjea, Founder and Chief Investment Officer, Marcellus Investment. Have you join us on Budget Day, Saurabh? Big day today. What are the hits and misses of this budget?
I think great to be. Budget did what it was intended to. I think the FM did a fiscal consolidation. She's given us a big capex boost, tax relief to the middle classes. Difficult to ask for more. This is in keeping with the theme that we have seen, which is very tight, fiscally conservative budget, the middle class to express their spending power for India Inc. And very remedies, Margaret Thatcher in the 80s, difficult for the stock the finance minister.
What are the misses? What is it that you think has not been touched? Have been?
I don't think there are misses. I think there's a philosophy that I think the NDA has taken. Not do freebies for the poor, right? So they have been very budgets I've seen, barring say COVID relief. There are no freebies or drops of cash on the poor. And negatives. The positive is obviously you get a fiscally finance minister. The negative is that people in our country, I think, are in pretty rough shape. Whether we look at FMCG consumption, India, Hawaii chappals in India, all of these things are under the pump. These, that being the subject, this is not a left-leaning sarkar, and therefore, to the extent that they've got clarity, economic ideology that's been carried out, difficult to the subject.
Right. This tax 1,000 crore giveaway in the form of stimulus. Do you really expect it to kind of leg up to consumption, because there are global headwinds which are likely to slow growth? So, how per both consumption as well as give a fillip to growth, if at all?
I don't buy this global headwinds point. I've been hearing this nonsense for the last. So I was told 8 months ago, 6 months ago. Any moment now, global recession chalu ho jayega. Indian IT services ka spend will stop. Neither have Western economies shrunk, nor has Accenture revenue growth missed a beat. So yes, looks of it a mild slowdown in the Western world, but the sheer amount of money that Western COVID, you can see that pumping away economic growth in after 4% of rate hike. So ये global growth slowed, multilateral institute में economists who don't have that much work, the West is growing at a slower rate than they did a year ago. Growing, our country is growing at 7, maybe it will grow as 20 का फर्क है. The core point being economies are growing well. Bank balance sheets are in the 10 years or so, and all of that in a world where China seems to provided our government keeps its nose doing the right thing for the middle class in India Inc. This country, both from a macro perspective and from a stock.
I'm going to touch upon one of your year before elections. Markets tend to do well. Is it still a whole lot of things that have happened in the last 6 months, 1 year, from February, Ukraine, inflation going through the roof, and the latest one being the Hindenburg blast. How do you see the next 1 year for markets, keeping in context developments as well as the budget?
So typically, where after a sharp rise in rates start coming, the authorities will announce that they're not going to hike anymore, coming off. Given, as I said, the growth outlook is and actually not that bad even for the Western world. right? If it peaks out in the next 2-3 months, as it appears, two prints of inflation downwards in India, I think we heard where inflation is trended down. If the Western central banks couple of months that they're pretty much done with rate hikes, stock markets across the world have a pretty decent performance in the next elections or lack of elections. They'll largely be because time in 40 years, the Federal Reserve hiked by foreign Federal Reserve took its foot off the pedal, and the sheer relief around that coming back down will be enough to give stock markets a decent.
Right. And if that doesn't happen, then what happens?
I think if that doesn't
India
happen,
on its own, where does
so India on its own 6. So let's assume she's budgeting around 6 to 7% growth. Even if you use that, assume 4-5% inflation, and then 15% corporate earnings growth. That's decent support, but perhaps not engender some roaring rally.
Right. Many economic growth has been slightly more optimistic. Do you agree with that view?
Sorry, Marini, who's been?
Yesterday, economic survey that you talked about, that the band is this new fiscal year will be 6 to 6.8.
Yeah.
Is that an optimistic number?
I mean, look, maybe it'll be 6 rather than 6.8. I don't have a point there, but if it's 6, I don't think I'll be disappointed. This should be disappointed at 6% growth. The world will, perhaps, I think the world will probably grow at even 2.5. Sneeze that, and remember, in the way people watching this program will make masses, it's only well-run companies who counts sensible corporate governance will make money from this. So the macro is so far as it gives well-run companies a chance 20% and compound your and my wealth. So the 6.5, I don't think is that relevant. What is relevant? We as individuals making the right investment choices, manager making the right investment choices, provided this is an individual, even at 6% GDP growth rate.
Got it. What are the beneficiaries of this budget, you feel? Who will benefit from this budget? As far as concerned, capex will stimulate private capex, and the multiplier effect that typically, what's the cascading effect you think?
Have been these small home loan providers, firms who lend to customers who are earning say 3, 4, 5 lakhs, and these home loans tend to be, let's say, 15 lakh, 10 to 15 lakhs. These home loan providers have got a double benefit. I've rarely seen this in a budget. The FM gave tax relief to people earning 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, say around 10% income boost for those taxpayers. So obviously, if you're a housing loan provider to people earning 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, your customers' income has jumped 10%. Great news for you. And secondly, through PM Awas, where she ramped up the spending by 60,000 crores, there'll be demand for housing again at that 10 lakh, 15 lakh ticket size. So small ticket home loan providers, which is a very niche part of the stock market, have got a supply side benefit and a demand side benefit. Beyond that, consumption generally got a minor boost, around 35,000 crores of extra consumption spend. The big kicker obviously was the 60,000 crores of extra spend on capex. The challenge for me as an investor is we at Marcellus struggle to find companies which are plays on capex and actually have any competitive advantages. There are hundreds of companies building roads and putting up high rises, but उसमें पैसा नहीं बनता.
So that story still continues of infra companies continuing to struggle.
I think we should hope that continues, right? We don't want infra companies to be earning return on capital above cost of capital. We need cheap housing and we need affordable infrastructure in our country.
Right. Other than the automobile, etc., the whole lot of tinkering done with customs duty How do you see that play out?
I mean, it'll give a fillip to this whole assembly of mobile phones in India. But again, I don't think kuch khas paisa banega. You can knock together as many mobile phones as you want, but unless we have companies who have intellectual property, just assembling mobile phones in India is not going to make us a great deal of money. It's a big sort of fashion at these days to jump up and down saying, we will buy optical lenses. iPhone needs I think 1,300 parts. We will buy all of them from abroad, maybe make a few of them here, knock them together in Hosur or Noida or some such place. We will do that. I'm sure we will do that. It will become a big industry. But I'm not sure I, as an investor or anybody watching this program, can make a great deal of money out of that. We need to create an ecosystem akin to, say, the auto ancillary ecosystem, where research and development happens in India, fabrication of the optical lens, fabrication of semiconductors happens in India. I think that R&D ecosystem will take few years to build. Uske baad we can think about making money from the entire ecosystem around mobile phones.
What about the fiscal math? It looks very good on paper. This government has actually delivered on expectations that it has delivered. But do you still think that we'll get to 4.5 fiscal deficit target of 4.5?
Yeah. Sure. So, Manin, I'll take this question and then I'll run if you don't mind. I didn't see anything wrong in the fiscal
One last.
maths.
Right.
I didn't think anything wrong in the fiscal maths. She's not fudging the revenue collection numbers. 11% revenue growth is, I think, sounds sensible. The disinvestment number at 60,000 crores is also conservative. I don't think she's doing smoke and mirrors on the mathematics. This genuinely is a kind of a baniya budget, tight conservative budget. Koi faltu mein kharcha nahi.
Do you see a long-term impact?
Do I see a long-term impact in what? Sorry?
The Hindenburg report, and how do you see that impacting market governance, disclosure standards, etc.? Is this something that is a turning point?
So this is a permanent bugbear in India. And to paraphrase, I think Shah Rukh Khan in DDLJ, right? बड़े बड़े देशों में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है. So I don't think you and I should get worked up about it. Let the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times get worked up about it. That's their headache. You and I know what country we live in, and what sort of water we drink, and we can look after ourselves just fine.
That's excellent. बड़े बड़े देशों में छोटी epic. Saurabh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.